Why would God need worship? Frank Turek is going to tell us, or try to tell us, or make excuses. I mean, it's what Frank does. Today, we're looking at another question from Frank Turek's Q&A sessions, but this is the perfect time to bring this up. In previous videos, someone had claimed in the comments that Turek was being invited to these campuses by atheists, and this is simply not true. Turek is usually being invited by Christian groups and Christian clubs to speak in front of Christians. Now, anyone can attend these lectures. They are open to the public, and if atheists want to buy a ticket and sit in the audience, they're perfectly welcome to do so. But the purpose of his talks isn't to speak to atheists. It's to rationalize to the already faithful. Let's not pretend otherwise. So, my original statements were true, and the commenter was simply wrong, because that never happens. But this time seems to be a bit unique. It seems to be part of a debate or something similar. Now, I don't know, because Frank doesn't actually tell us when or where these questions come from, but this is not the typical format that we see for most of these questions. Anyhow, let's go look at Frank Turek trying to defend why God would ever need worship and why, once again, Frank is just an idiot.
Why would a Christian God want credulity?
Why would a Christian God want what?
Credulity. Why would he want worship in any sense to be?
He doesn't need worship. He's an infinite being. We get the benefit of worship.
How do we get the benefit of worship? That's like saying that slaves get the benefit of slavery. It makes no sense at all. In fact, it reminds me of the justification used by white Christian slave owners that blacks were just savages and putting them into slavery was for their own good. Never mind that they got a ton of effectively free labor out of it, it was all for the other guy's benefit. Somehow, this kind of mindset runs rampant in Christianity.
Jealous.
Right, but you have...
That's right. Just like you would be jealous if your wife was dating somebody else, rightfully so.
But I've known people that got over jealousy. I would think a God could do better than that.
No, jealousy is a good virtue if it's properly directed. You should be jealous if your wife's dating somebody else, right?
So, because he loves us, he engages in human emotions, and that's what jealousy is, a human emotion, a negative human emotion at that, and it's all for our benefit somehow. And he sends us to roast in hell too, because he loves us. And we'd better love him back too, or else. What a child.
Why would God be like that?
Because he loves us.
Why?
Because he doesn't want us going to idols or other gods.
Why does he care? Honestly, if these other idols and gods aren't real, why does God care what we do? This all-powerful, all-knowing, all-good God ought to be beyond the need for any acknowledgement of his existence or his actions. Why does he give a damn? Do scientists who create a new strain of bacteria demand that bacteria bow down and worship them? Of course not. So why is God so shallow?
He wants to ensure that we get the benefits of knowing him. That's why we're here. So God just doesn't want intellectual assent. Even James, the half-brother of Jesus, who wrote that little book in the New Testament called James, thank you. He said, even the demons believe that God exists, but they tremble. They don't trust in him. And the reason they don't trust in him is they don't want to.
So why does any of this matter? Modern humans are far more mature than this imaginary friend in the sky that Frank has. How is he so blind that he can't see the blatant truth in front of his eyes? He has to make excuses for why God is such a petulant child. God could just make everything perfect. No disease, no starvation, everyone has a perfect life, and no one has to believe God is real. It shouldn't matter to an all-powerful super being. Yet, according to Christianity, we have to kiss this thing's ass constantly. We need to pray unceasingly and sing its praises on Sunday morning. Why? Because according to the religious, God is a 2-year-old throwing a constant temper tantrum. I'm gonna make you miserable unless you do what I say. And even for people who do what they think this God monster says, they're still miserable. They're not getting any better treatment than anyone else. They're usually some of the least well-off people around. So to explain that, the religious made up heaven, a place that is conveniently beyond our ability to verify, but that's where all the really good stuff happens if you're just patient enough. And you want to avoid hell, that place that also can't be verified, but that's where all the bad stuff happens if you don't sufficiently kiss God's ass, at least according to people with a vested interest to believe in all of this nonsense tells us. But the character of God in these fairy tales makes no sense at all. He's got all of the worst flaws of humanity and all of the power to make everyone's life miserable. Supposedly, anyhow. It's like giving a spoiled 6-year-old a nuclear detonator. If you don't do exactly what he says, he's gonna wish you into the cornfield. And we're supposed to respect this monster. Fuck that, and fuck anyone who does. They have no more ethical comprehension than the giant moral prick they follow. They are not made better by God. They are made worse. They are terrible human beings that the rest of the world would be far better off without. They're like Hitler disciples, defending whatever Hitler does, because if they don't, Hitler will smite them dead. God is Hitler on a power trip. Well, would be if we had any reason to think that God was real to begin with. Which, in case you didn't know, we don't. Anyway, what do you think? Put your comments below. And if this is your first time here, make sure you hit the subscribe button and bell notification so you're informed when I upload more videos like this. It's only if we all stick together and speak out against the horrible irrationality of religion that anything will ever improve. I'd like this channel to be one rallying point for the dedicatedly rational. Tell your friends. Don't suffer against the slings and arrows of religious stupidity alone. We might as well all suffer together and fight together for a brighter tomorrow. And I appreciate your help.